Chopping samples and sampling in general is one of the fundamental pieces of beat making and hip hop. So today we're looking at how I create sample chops that flow to get more professional sounding sampled productions. Before we start, if you're a Studio One user, don't forget to download my free productivity toolbar. This is a macro toolbar that sits at the top of your arrange view for easy access and combines a bunch of Studio One's production functions into time-saving one-click buttons. The productivity toolbar is completely free, so if you want to start speeding up your Studio One workflow today, then click the first link down below to get access. Okay, so the key to getting sample chops that flow is the same key to any other good melody in my opinion, and that is repetition. Repetition is key in any melodic phrase because this is what will allow the listener to become engaged and remember what they heard. Now, this by itself means little, but it is easier understood when we start to think of repetition and sample chops as patterns and structures, because chopping samples is very similar to songwriting in that you want to have some sort of scheme. There are plenty of ways to do this and many structures and patterns, but my two favorite for chopping samples are the A-B-A-C and the AAAB structures. Let's take a look at some examples. Okay, so here I have a sample that I used in my last video. Let's take a listen to the original and then the chopped version that I made. So here is the original. And here is my chopped version. Now, for most scenarios, when chopping samples, you want to end up with a 4-bar or 4-measure loop, and the best way to look at this is to view each bar or measure as a segment. If we take a look at this chopped version, you can see that I have a total of 3 patterns. Pattern 1, pattern 2, and pattern 3. The third measure is basically pattern 1 repeated, and so when we start to take this into account, we can see the fully laid out structure of A, B, A, C. This structure has to be my all-time favorite because it has a little bit of everything. On one hand, we have some repetition with pattern 1, which repeats on measure 1 and 3 to create some familiarity, but we also have enough variations with patterns 2 and 3 to create some interest. This structure ultimately makes it so it is easy to remember the melody through some repetition, but different enough to not bore the listener. Let's rechop this sample into different patterns, and that way we can see how this structure can be used in different ways. Okay, so I've rechopped the sample into different patterns, so let's take a listen. So as you can hear, the vibe has changed a bit, but the overall structure has remained the same. We still have the A-B-A-C structure, and it still works well. So as mentioned, this is by far my favorite chopping structure, but let me show you another good one, and that is the A-A-A-B structure. For this one, I've brought in another sample that I've also used in a previous video, but the original sounds like this. And these are my sample chops. Okay, so if we inspect the MIDI here, we can see that the same pattern repeats 3 times before introducing something different at the end. This structure is also great, but what I will say is that you need the right sample for this one to work. The reason is because although repetition is good, too much can also become boring. From my experience, I have found that repeating something twice is the sweet spot for most things. 3 times can also work, but absolutely never more than 3 consecutively, because again, at that point, you run the risk of that thing becoming annoying. With this structure, we are using the limit by repeating something 3 times, but then immediately breaking that monotony by introducing something new to finish off that 4-bar loop. Again, having something new and different at the end is crucial to break the repetition and keep the listener engaged. Now, for the sake of giving you some variety, I'm going to show you one last one, and that is the A-B-A-B structure. This one is by far my least favorite, but it can work depending on the sample and the situation, but this one is basically where you create 2 patterns and then repeat them. If I were to show you this with my first sample chop, it would sound something like this. So as you can hear, it's not bad, but the reason I don't often use this, and the reason why it's my least favorite, is that in my opinion, it doesn't provide enough interest. Unlike the ABAC structure that took you by surprise by introducing something new at the end, this one plays it safe by keeping it the same. This isn't entirely bad, but it does require a good sample and proper arrangement and harmonic layering to keep the entire production engaging. So there you have it, 3 structures to help you start creating more fluid sample chops and ultimately better sampled productions. Now, if you're further along in your journey, maybe you've already finished some music and you're looking to put it out, then consider distributing it with today's video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the most affordable and hassle-free music distributors on the market, starting at only $23 a year for unlimited uploads to all major streaming platforms. After signing up, you also get a ton of other cool stuff included in your subscription, like an official Apple Music, Spotify verified, and YouTube artist profiles. Additionally, if you're looking for something to use on your social media channels, then they also include a free landing page where you can add your social media profiles and any other links you wish to share. So then if you're ready to start spreading your music out to a broader audience, then click the link down below to get 7% off your first year. But that's it for me, friends. Hopefully this video helped, and if it did, don't forget to drop a like. That really helps my channel out. Now that you know how to structure your sample chops though, then make sure to watch this video right over here to learn the best and easiest way to chop a sample in Studio One. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you on the next one.